Lore shows up in the most unexpected of places. Even in a fast-paced game like Clash Royale, where it's all about cards, chaos, and crushing towers, there's a hidden world beneath every match. From card descriptions to animations, Clash-orama, and even the loading screens, every legendary card has a story. You just have to know where to look. And today we're starting with one of the most hated of them all, Mega Knight. I'm pretty sure we all agree on one thing when it comes to Mega Knight. We hate him. From the moment he jumps into the mid ladder, it's instant trauma. That slam, that ridiculous amount of health. But here is the real question. Have you ever stopped to wonder who or what this hulking menace actually is? How is he a knight, and how did he achieve that title of Mega? Where did he come from, and why does he jump like he's been doing leg day for a century straight? But if you dig deep enough across old Supercell trailers, new lore drops, subtle design clues, you'll find that the Mega Knight isn't just a pain in the ladder. He's one of the most unique and perhaps misunderstood characters in the entire Clash universe. So, let's talk about it. Mega Knight was once a regular knight like the others who studied at night school. As time went on, he grew bigger and stronger due to his training, to the point that he was the biggest one out of every knight. But while the rest of him grew, only one part of his body stayed the same: his hands. Despite being big and massive, he had small, delicate hands, which made him a subject to bullying. They laughed at his hands not because they were weak, but because they were small. His arms were built like siege weapons, his shoulders broad enough to carry the weight of a castle gate. But his hands, they never quite matched the rest of him. Every year when portraits of the graduating class were posted across the academy walls and yearbooks, Mega Knight was just embarrassed. And then one day, he molded gauntlets the size of battering rams, each one a steel tomb for the hands they mocked. He also made a helmet, the most important part to him, which would hide his face from everyone. And from that, no one would laugh at his face again. No one would even see it. So that is how he forged a new identity and the title of Mega Knight. He became so dangerous, in fact, that he graduated early from night school. He graduated in a week because he was just too dangerous for the other students and teachers to have him there. With his new identity, he started gaining fame and recognition in the Clash Royale arenas. He thought his past worries were long gone until he heard that one copy of his yearbook still existed in the Red Knight's hands. He became so enraged that apparently he evolved. At least that's what Supercell's lore drop short tells us. As of now, we know from the official royal family tree lore that the princess is actually the daughter of the Blue King. But things totally don't add up. If that's the case, why are there two other princesses standing beside him on the towers? The lore's been inconsistent for a while now, but the most reasonable explanation is that Blue King just has 3 daughters. Still, that brings up the question, why is this princess a troop card and not sitting on a princess tower like her sisters? But before we get into that, how about a quick scroll down to hit that like button and, maybe just tap subscribe. It is free and you can always change your mind later. Now, back to the princess. So, while there is no official answer from Supercell, we do have some insight thanks to a Clash-orama episode titled Archer Departure. In that episode, we learned that the ground princess is named Ellie. That's not confirmed canon, but it's what the show calls her. Ellie dreams of becoming a princess tower defender, but she often feels ignored by the Blue King, especially when someone like the magic archer shows up and starts stealing the spotlight. Even though she's got incredible archery skills, the king becomes fixated on the magic archer's fancy style and precision, which makes Ellie feel even more left out, and eventually she snaps. She goes looking for the magic archer to talk it out, but ends up getting stuck with him and his group during one of his bizarre training sessions. While there, she actually learns a few things about teamwork and starts to see things differently. Later, when she's back at the arena and the match kicks off, the magic archer suddenly betrays the blue team and switches sides. Even with that surprise, Ellie manages to stay focused, beat him, and win the battle. This time, the king finally notices her. He's impressed and offers her a spot on one of the towers, but after everything she's learned, Ellie turns it down. She realizes she doesn't want to be above the fight. She wants to be in it, right alongside her team. And that's why she's a troop today. Also, for anyone wondering, yes, the princess and the prince are indeed in love, at least according to another Clash-orama episode. It's not clear which princess though, so let's just roll with the idea that it's Ellie. They're lovebirds, opposites in almost every way, but it works. And if there's one thing that's obvious, it's that the prince is super loyal to his princess. for sure. Have you ever wondered what the name of the weapon Ram Rider carries is? It's not a mace, not a flail, it's actually a bola, a hunting weapon made of weighted cords, traditionally thrown to entangle the legs of animals. It has pretty deep historical roots, most famously used by guachos, the skilled horsemen of South America. But bolas go back even further. Archaeologists have found them in pre-Columbian settlements, especially in the region of Patagonia, where indigenous hunters used them to trap massive prey like guanacos, which for reference are wild relatives to llamas that can weigh over 200 pounds. But I'm not just a history channel, we are a Clash Royale history channel. So here's where it gets interesting. Originally, the Ram Rider wasn't even supposed to exist. According to the game files and early concept art, her prototype was something else entirely. A wolf rider. The character was designed to ride a wolf and attack with a bow, not a bola. It was a completely different tone, more stealthy, more fantasy-driven, but somehow during development, the wolf rider concept was scrapped and replaced with the ram rider. Why? Nobody knows for sure. Maybe the design team wanted something more aggressive and chaotic. Maybe a wolf didn't feel royal enough for the Clash universe, or maybe they just fell in love with the image of a wild-haired warrior riding a charging, screaming ram across the battlefield. Either way, the Ram Rider as we know her today is the result of a major creative pivot, and her bola weapon a callback to ancient hunting traditions and real-world history that most players completely overlook. But there's one more thing about the Ram Rider that might just blow your mind. Back in 2023, Supercell posted an official art piece on Twitter, just a wholesome picture at first glance. But if you think more about it, the Ram Rider, Hog Rider, and the Monk all sitting together under a tree reading a book. Who knows what that book might be? Maybe it's a book about their family. This aside, both Hog Rider and Ram Rider are riders, and they both wear the same type of clothing and shoes, same colors even. And they both carry golden rings on their hands. They may not be related as siblings, but maybe a part of the same tribe. If they are from the same tribe, it could be assumed that the males of the tribe ride hogs, while the women ride rams. Interesting to think about. Now let's talk about someone who calls himself a wizard, but might have missed a few classes at magic school. That being the Electro Wizard. Don't let the robe and the dramatic lighting fool you, this guy isn't a magician at all. In reality, he's more of a mad scientist, an inventor obsessed with static electricity, and some could say very questionable safety protocols. According to the Clash lore, he was the mind behind some of the arena's most shocking tech, and I do mean that literally. The Tesla Tower, Zap, and even elements of Electro Dragon all trace back to him. Fun fact, Electro Dragon is his pet. I wonder if Sparky is also related to him. He'd spend days on end tinkering away, fueled by nothing but wild ideas and way too much caffeine. But one day, while working on what was supposed to be his next great invention, he made a small mistake. He accidentally grabbed a vial of bottled lightning instead of his coffee mug and drank the whole thing. From that moment on, he became permanently supercharged. His hair stood up, his voice crackled, and his body started sparking uncontrollably. Metal objects now a guaranteed zap. Showers? An electrocution hazard. Hugging people? Absolutely not. He didn't master magic, he became his own experiment. And yet he's still inventing. In fact, he was able to evolve the zap. The man just never stops inventing. Don't ask him how it works, chances are he doesn't really even know either. Inferno Dragon isn't just a baby dragon with a heat upgrade. He's a whole different beast, and possibly one of the most dangerous creations in the entire Clash universe. Let's start with the obvious. He's basically a flying version of the Inferno Tower. Same burning hot beams, same damage ramp up, same ability to melt tanks like Giant, Golem, and even Lava Hound in seconds. That alone raises a pretty big question. Why would anyone build anything this deadly and then just give it wings? Or heck, why would they give this gear to a baby dragon? Some players believe the Inferno Dragon is actually a failed experiment from the same workshop that gave us the Inferno Tower. Maybe the builders of the arena wanted to combine the power of an Inferno Tower with mobility, so they spliced tower tech into a young dragon. So here's the theory. Inferno Dragon was once just a regular baby dragon, curious, mischievous, and full of flame. But someone, or something, wanted to weaponize him. They fitted him with that unstable Inferno gear with a massive helmet because flying can be dangerous, and trained him to target the biggest enemies on the battlefield. They locked away his playful instincts, but who knows? Interestingly, he can also integrate into the society. Recently, he's been looking for a gig at a shoot, and he also hired a lawyer to get Supercell to give him an evolution. I'm sure you've all seen this ad multiple times already through YouTube. If you think Sparky is just a soulless machine, well, Supercell themselves might disagree. There's an old loading screen hint that drops a surprisingly emotional bomb. Calling Sparky a trash can on wheels hurts her feelings. This is because Sparky was notoriously known for being bad. That's right, this line confirms two things most players overlook. One is that Sparky has feelings, and two is that she's female. The miner is one of the most straightforward troops in Clash Royale. He doesn't need flashy armor or spells, just a shovel, a helmet, and a plan. And while he might not look like much, he's actually the fastest troop when it comes to burrowing, with a tunnel speed of 650, letting him pop up exactly where he needs to be. In different languages, the miner takes on some pretty interesting alternate names. In German, he's called Tunnel Digger. In Japanese, simply Digger. And in Korean, Mine Worker. Each name reflects the same core idea: he's not here to lead armies. He's here to do a job. That's what really sets him apart from the other troops. He's not charging in like a knight or casting spells like a wizard, just quietly digs his way behind enemy lines and does the damage and vanishes underground. No fanfare, no speeches, just results. And he's quicker than every other troop underground as he digs. Some players think he might have started off working in the kingdom's mines, digging for gold or elixir, until the king noticed his unique skill and offered him a role in the arena. Whether that's true or not, the miner's still doing what he's always done best: getting in, getting out, and staying under the radar. The Phoenix is based on the mythological Greek creature capable of rebirth upon destruction, often associated with the sun. A phoenix obtains new life by rising from the ashes of its predecessor. Some legends say it dies in a show of flames and combustion. Others say it simply dies and decomposes before being born again. In Clash of Clans, the Phoenix's gender is listed as female in its card description. However, in Clash Royale, the Phoenix is referred to as male in an episode of TV Royale, but it still uses its pronouns in the game's official text. Whether that's a lore inconsistency or just a design choice, it's not clear. There's also a gameplay and visual difference between the two phoenixes. In Clash of Clans, it starts as an untargetable egg that revives the hero it's linked to for a short period, then joins the battle itself. It deals area damage but has no death explosion. In Clash Royale, it attacks normally, then transforms into an egg when defeated. If the egg survives, the phoenix is reborn. Here, it deals single target damage and explodes on death before turning into an egg. Even their designs are slightly different. The Clash of Clans version has yellow eyes, larger wings, and a smaller body. The Clash Royale Phoenix has hazel eyes and more balanced proportions. Despite those differences, both versions share the same sound effects. So while the Phoenix remains true to its mythical inspiration, life through death, it actually has two different forms across the Clash universe. Royal Ghost is actually the father of both the Blue and Red King, and because he's royal, he used to be the old king of the arenas. In the Clasharama episode, Portugeist, where we see Huggy, a hog salesman struggling to hold his business, one day he discovered that his hog lot is built atop a royal ghost's ancient lair. The ancient lair being the old Clash Royale arena. Long ago, before the current arena was flooded with emotes and elixir golems, it stood as the crown jewel of the Clash world. Back then, in what some now call the Beta Age, Clashers from every kingdom would travel across the land just for a chance to duel its master, the Royal Ghost, at least before he died. He was quick, cunning, and proud. Too proud, perhaps. He bested every challenger who entered his domain. Some say he was unbeatable. He liked to think that too. But pride, as always, is a double-edged sword. In time, his confidence turned to arrogance, his discipline faded, and then came the fateful day when a troop named Prince Morgan entered the arena. He was just a regular prince who just poked and killed them. That single defeat shattered everything for him: his will, his purpose, his identity. So he vanished. He closed up the arena, hung up his sword, and exiled himself to a realm between life and death, cursed to wander endlessly, never to sleep, never to forget. Not truly alive, not truly dead, just a ghost, and all he does is sleep, ruminate on his defeats, and study strategy. Ice Wizard hails from Finland, and yes, his voice lines are in Finnish. If you ever wondered what he's shouting in battle, here is a quick translation. Lunta means snow, Jata means ice, Vakasta means freeze, Kilma means cold, and Talkapis means take this. It's a fun little detail that gives him a unique cultural twist, fitting for someone who literally controls the weather. But there's also another curious fact. His mustache is considered too hot for TV. That's right, despite being made of frost and ice, his facial hair is somehow too steamy to broadcast. Which raises another question. Apparently TV exists in the Clash universe? Magic Archer has his own Clasherama episode called Archer Departure. Well, it's not quite his, but he is the center of it, and we already talked about this episode while talking about the princess. So to give a much shorter summary, a princess named Ellie is desperately trying to impress the Blue King, so she can become a tower princess. But just when she's about to succeed, the Magic Archer suddenly appears out of nowhere with his mysterious Chinese wisdom, and Bandit is right there with him. Together, they steal the spotlight from Ellie, leaving her frustrated. Determined to get revenge, she goes searching for Magic Archer, but ends up getting trapped with him, and while stuck together, she trains with his disciples, learns his ancient untouched Chinese wisdom, and eventually defeats him in the arena. What makes this episode particularly interesting is that the Bandit and Magic Archer are shown living in the same camp and fighting together. This strongly suggests that they have some kind of connection, though Supercell has never confirmed exactly what that is. Though in recent years, both of them have been confirmed to be part of the Forest Gang, members being the Rascals, them, and Boss Bandit, who is their leader. Depending on the language setting, the Bandit's got a whole resume of criminal titles. In French and Korean, she's simply called Thief. In Italian and Dutch, though, Outlaw and Highwaywoman. Japanese goes with Assassin, Chinese calls her a Phantom Assassin, Finnish labels her as a Robber, and Vietnamese calls her a Pirate. Oh, and here's something cool. In the Japanese version, her actual name is revealed to be Juno. But here's where it gets really interesting. The original concept for the Bandit was actually the Royal Ghost. He was designed with an invisibility mechanic, a dash, and even a stun effect, but the stun got scrapped during development. The dash mechanic, though, that became the core of what would eventually become the Bandit. Royal Ghost himself was shelved until he finally got added back into the game later on with his own stealthy spin. So while Bandit may be out here stealing crowns, her entire existence is something she technically stole from the Royal Ghost first. We are doing 2 in 1 now because, frankly, one wouldn't exist without the other. Let's talk about the Lumberjack and the Log. These two might seem unrelated at first glance, but they're actually bound by a mistake, a rage-fueled mistake. You see, the log wasn't just forged in some blacksmith's workshop or summoned by a spell. It was accidentally created by none other than the Lumberjack himself. In the Clashmas animation titled Log's Revenge, Supercell finally gave us a glimpse into the log's origin. The short shows the Lumberjack, completely juiced up on rage, chopping down a tree with his signature madness, but in the heat of the moment, he spills his rage spell all over the ground. And that is when it happens. The trunk he just sliced topples over right into the puddle of rage, and something changes. The log absorbs the magic, sprouts spikes, and becomes sentient. No longer just a chunk of wood, he now has one singular mission: revenge. It remembers everything: the rage, the chop, the fall. And now it rolls through the arena not just as a spell, but as a furious living weapon. It destroys everyone and everything, takes down the Clashmas tree and replaces it with itself. Hooray! Everyone has a happy Clashmas, including the log. As its description says, quote, "A spilt bottle of rage turned an innocent tree trunk into the log. Now it seeks revenge by crushing anything in its path." Lumberjack's description also says he chops trees by day and hunts the log by night. There's actually a Clasherama episode titled "'Twas the Night Before Clashmas" that predates Clashmas Log's Revenge and tells a different side of the log's origin story. Gotta put on my best Christmas movie here. It's just a regular Clashmas day. Both kings are preparing the arena, and to get into the holiday spirit, they order their troops to chop down trees for decorations. The Lumberjack, doing exactly what he does best, heads off and finds a massive, majestic spruce tree. Alright, I'll stop. He proudly brings it back, thinking he nailed it, but the kings, they take one look at the stunning tree and say nope. Instead, they choose a tiny, unimpressive, crooked tree. Lumberjack snaps, and in a fit of anger, he storms toward the tree to chop it down. But as he charges, he trips, and his rage bottle flies out of his hands, smashing right on top of that small, pathetic tree. And just like that, the tree starts shaking, glowing, and transforming. That little stump becomes the log, but then the troops destroy it and Lumberjack turns it into a third bridge. Everyone's happy again. Hooray. The Mother Witch is likely inspired by Circe, the Greek witch goddess who appears in Homer's Odyssey. In this epic, Odysseus and his crew stumble upon her island Aiaia. And yes, that is spelled A-E-A-E-A. E-A. Anyway, while returning home from the Trojan War, Circe is infamous for turning Odysseus's men into swine, using powerful enchantments and potions. The parallels are kind of hard to miss. The Mother Witch's signature ability, cursing enemies and transforming them into harmless, cursed hogs, just like Circe turning soldiers into pigs. And fun fact, according to some legends, Circe was also known for her excellent baking skills. Mother Witch also makes some great cookies. According to her karaoke contest song, which, by the way, is an absolute banger, and from her descriptions in Clash of Clans and the Clash-O-Rama series, we actually learn that the Night Witch and the Witch are sisters, and the Mother Witch is supposed to be their mother. They also have a Clash-O-Rama episode titled Clone Alone, where the two sisters make an appearance, and they have your typical, totally normal sister relationship. Yep, definitely no deep-seated rivalry going on there. In Korean, Portuguese, Persian, and Vietnamese, she is literally called Dark Witch. In French and Finnish, Witch of the Night. In Japanese, she's Dark Necromancer, which honestly sounds like a metal band, and Thai, she is Night Magic Girl. The Lava Hound is confirmed to be male, as revealed in the narration of the Lava Pup commercial, where the storyteller refers to him as both he and father. While the Lava Hound appears to be a hulking creature made of both molten lava and solid rock, his pups are made purely of glowing lava. This has sparked a popular fan theory. As lava pups mature, their outer layers slowly cool and harden, forming that stony armor we see on the full-grown Lava Hound. It's a surprisingly wholesome detail for such a destructive flying beast. Fatherhood, fireballs and all. Did you know that goblins get dumber as they grow old? That would make baby goblins the smartest out of everyone, and they are. Believe it or not, most goblin inventions actually come from the younger ones, but since no one would ever take a green, wide-eyed toddler seriously, especially not one covered in dirt and mischief, the adult goblins always take the credit. After all, who's gonna believe a baby goblin just pulled off some Nikolai Tesla stuff? But because of their small size, they are never really considered a threat. That is when the baby goblins decided to make a machine so powerful and deadly that it couldn't have been avoided by anyone anymore. They added mechanical arms, legs, rockets to a goblin barrel, and that's how the goblin machine came to be. Fisherman's name is not Fisherman, it's actually Maurice, and he's Scottish. If we were to assume his ethnicity from his accent alone. The fisherman isn't just some guy with a hook and beard. He's also mastered the ancient and mysterious art of fish slapping, a truly noble skill passed down by, well, probably no one. But what kind of fish is he even using? In the French language setting of the game, it's revealed that the fisherman's trusty weapon is actually I'm gonna butcher this, Dicentantus lebrax, or better known as a European bass. And speaking of names, depending on your language settings, the fisherman's identity changes completely. In Korean, he's simply called Angler, but in Japanese, his name goes from Maurice to Triton. Way cooler. The Spirit Empress enters the arena with a title that is kind of hard to ignore. First of her name, Protector of Spirits, Rider of Dragons. If you're a Game of Thrones fan, that may sound familiar. It's because it's a clear homage to Daenerys Targaryen from Game of Thrones, the iconic queen from George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire series. And just like Daenerys, the Spirit Empress carries that same powerful royal energy, commanding not just dragons, but also the spirits that follow her. Her presence alone suggests that she's more than just a rider. She's a ruler. Just hopefully she doesn't go insane. And that wraps up all the legendaries. I don't think I'm missing anything. Hold on. Oh, I did forget the graveyard. So what can be said about the graveyard? Okay. In Clash of Clans, there's a spell that closely mirrors the graveyard, the skeleton spell. At first, it summoned a whole horde of skeletons instantly, but it was later reworked to behave more like the graveyard, trickling in skeletons out over time. But here's where things get kind of interesting. The skeleton spell's skeletons come with shields, just like the guards in Clash Royale. That gives them an extra layer of defense, making them tougher than your average pile of bones. So while both spells deal in the undead, Clash of Clans gives their skeletons a little more backbone. Pun intended. And if you've stayed for all of this lore, why don't you go for our Champions lore video as well? They have some pretty interesting backstories. I'll see you there.